There you go.
Wow.
That's
Yay.
great.
No.
That is beautiful.
No, here's your scissors, Kay. That's somebody else's.
And they're working on, you got a border that goes on the top or either the top or the bottom.
Okay.
So when you see it, you say, "Oh, I pressed that."
I pressed it.
Yeah.
I have.
And you,
That's gonna be pretty.
It'll be pretty. Now, how you make them thick? You make them like that. Yeah, what's in between?
Oh, the lining, yeah, that would have a backing, and, but in between there'll be some batting,
Okay.
quilting
Okay.
batting.
And so, and that's what really gives it the design.
Well, no, it gives it a little,
Puff, texture, puff.
yeah,
okay.
texture, but then it'll go in a quilt machine. That gives it that texture, I mean, that design.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now.
You know now.
Oh, the gilded head. Okay, now, am I good? I need to be flatter than this?
You scrape.
No, I'm
I
real
love
flat.
it. You come all the way from out of town just to press on that. Now think about that.
Yes.
When it's all done,
I know
you
what I
can
did.
say, I had my hand in
Ah,
there.
that's what I'm looking forward
There you
to.
go.
That's my blessing. I can't wait to get there because that's gonna be a beautiful quilt.
she's getting ready to
Okay.
show you. Becky, come help me hold this
All
so
right.
they can see this.
I don't need none of this right here, Kay. It's sticking up. I can lay it
Go
down.
ahead.
Wait till you see this quilt. What she's getting ready to hold up. Wait till you see this. Wait till you see this. Oh, it's so pretty.
Is that?
You better get you some tissues.
Are you really?
Yeah, you know I'm not kidding you. It's so pretty. I'm not kidding you. It's so pretty.
We used to have it hanging up over there.
Look, it's so pretty.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
now lay it down, get you some tissues. That's right.
That is pretty.
Yes, ma'am, that's beautiful.
Tell me, listen.
Now,
tell
what's
the
the story behind it, though? What I can see
So
sunset.
you will start at the bottom.
Mm,
That's the watery grave when the slaves came across. When they were brought across and dumped.
mhm.
Appalachian Mountain, yeah, those are the heads bobbing in the water. So the Appalachian Mountains, a lot of African Americans have ended up here. In that, this represents the Appalachian Mountains
Okay.
on the side. Of course, it started in the center of Africa, but this come from Becky's porch. The view from her porch that she sees,
Yeah.
you know, every morning.
On Town Mountain.
She's
That's
talked
it.
about the sunrise, but I mean sunset,
Sunset.
but I said sunrise
Okay.
because the SON has brought us up out of all the trials from the past. You
Don't
know.
get happy.
So, and every ray in here, it was an accident. I didn't plan this. There's a ray for every stripe that Jesus bore.
That she did not plan.
I did not plan it. Just worked out
It
that way.
worked out that way.
So,
See?
you see how she did the stitching, the water.
Dude,
It's like
yes,
the
it's like the
waves.
wave of the water.
Yeah.
And at first when I walked up on it, it was rocks.
Uh-huh.
Those are heads.
Yeah.
Those are faces.
Right there.
Yeah. That's a nose and mouth. Yeah.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Absolutely.
Brings you chills to know that our
Yeah.
people actually
Chills and
was in the water.
appreciation
Some
and
of them
blessings
died
and
in the
all-
water.
everything comes to mind.
And it gives you chills. It brings it to reality. But isn't this beautiful?
It's a long ways from where we are today, so it's a blessing.
Yeah. See what our ancestors went to.
Beautiful. Sure is.
Back in 2015, it was a very challenging year for me. And I had a major surgery in September, in February of that year. And I was in the hospital for several months, and it took me the entire year to recover from that surgery. So I was practically out a whole year. While I was in the hospital, this lap quilt was presented to me. And it was presented to me from a quilting group at the First Presbyterian Church. And it was prayers and squares. And one thing I remember about, receiving this quilt, I was just amazed at how beautiful that it is. And, I thought about the hands that stitched it together. The tag on it reads, "This quilt was made for Emily Hudson with love, hope, and prayers. First Presbyterian Church, Hazard, Kentucky, member of Prayers and Squares, the Prayer Quilt Ministry. Each knot represents a prayer that was said for you." And that was in 2015. And the thought, I was thinking about this today, that as this quilt covered me, it reminded me that God had me covered. So.
I'm Charlinda Fugit. I'm a member of the First Presbyterian Church in Hazard here in town, and we're just across the parking lot from Emily's family's church. And then Emily's church is at the other end of the parking lot. So the three churches do things together. But one thing, when I started going to the First Presbyterian Church, I knew about the group of prayers and squares and things. As Emily had gotten a quilt, I had eye surgery done several years ago, and I got one of the quilts. So a prayer quilt is very unique. Some of our quilters in our church, some of them make a 9-patch, as you can tell this one is. And then most of them are machine made, but they're made with thoughts and prayers. And then after they get their quilt finished, they bring it to Prayers and Squares, to our group. We put the ties in it, and we tack it. This way they used to do quilts a long time ago. And we leave the strings pretty long. We had this one man in our church that was very ill, and we sent him a prayer quilt in Lexington. Every doctor, every nurse, housekeeper, whoever walked into the man's room, he showed them his prayer quilt and asked them to tie a knot. So by the time he came home, his prayer quilt, the strings had bunches of knots in it.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
We have made lots of prayer quilts in our church. Another thing that some of them do is they knit scarves or shawls. Because they had this one lady that was a quilter, and it was like, we don't want to give her a quilt. So somebody said, well, we got some shawls that we've knitted. So we gave her a shawl. And the prayer shawls are the same as the quilts. They're, the ladies make them and they pray over them as they work on them. And then they put fringe around the prayer shawls and that they can tie off. But it's a joy to come in and work on the prayer quilts. And then we take it to our church on a Sunday morning, that if we find out there's a need of someone wanting a prayer quilt, all they have to do is just let us know. And then we contact the person that's going to receive the quilt. And that makes sure, that they will receive the quilt. And ask them what their prayer is for. Most of their prayers are for if they're going through cancer and things, that we find that, just to give them the strength to do what they have to do to get better and back into their activities and things.
All right. Do you know if there's any other churches around town or in the county
Yes.
that has
Right next door to us on our little triangle thing is the Methodist Church here in Hazard. They have a prayer quilt ministry, and they give out prayer quilts also.
Okay. Anyone else that you know?
Not that I know of.
So just
Right in here, those
right.
two.
Okay. And y'all are neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah. Have y'all ever did one together?
I think they have. I think there was one time that we needed one pretty quick, and we had a quilt. We tied the knots, and then the quilt was handed off to the Methodist church for them to pray and tie the knots, and then the person received the quilt.
Oh, that's awesome. Working together.
Together.
That's good. Last week we talked about several black churches that are no longer in existence in this community. And we kind of talked about the history and the question came to my mind, well, I wonder if, any of these churches had a quilt sewing circle, or if women came together, at their churches and made these quilts. I don't have that answer, but as we kind of we're getting ready to explore their history, try to get the history as much as we can from people who may have remembered. That's a question that we'll ask. That's a question that will come up if that kind of activity went on there at those churches. But yeah.
One other thing about our quilt group, our Prayers and Square group, we meet on Wednesday afternoons here at the Appalachian Quilt Shop. Anyone is welcome to come by to sew with us or to see what we're doing. We're here most of the time from around about 4 until 6. And anybody is welcome to come by and see what we're doing.
So are you making prayer quilts, or are you making
some of them is working
kinds?
On prayer quilts and just different things. Some of them work on them at home.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Charlene.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
God bless.
You remember a story?
I don't remember nothing.
I don't remember. I worked a lot. I was at a store, but I don't remember what I done, but I was there. Okay. Here you go, Cleve. Hey, she whooped this. What's the back? I should use the back. I don't know. Just show the back.
No, show the good part here.
That's the back. And that was good to me. Oh, God.
All of it's good.
She smacked me.
Oh, yeah.
That hurt. That way.
And tell how old it is?
Yeah.
It's about 100 years old.
No, it's 39 years old.
Okay. How's it?
She said that it's all hand
Hand stitch, yes.
Yeah.
She did it, so it.
And so, if there's anything, Gloria, that you notice about any of the patterns or anything,
For pinwheels.
that you
That's
can-
what that's the block is the just a basic pinwheel block.
Oh, you're already filming. Let me.
Yeah,
He's
she
on
took
the
it,
road.
put this on,
Okay, Teresa.
yeah, she took it, put this on a round sewing thing. And she done it in 1983, because Tootie was 2 years old, my daughter was. And this quilt is like 39 years old. And she made 3 of them. And she finished them in within, I guess, about 5 years, wasn't it, Lynetta? Yeah. All 3 of them. And this is her quilt that I saved, but she had 3 of them. I don't know what happened to them. But this quilt is my favorite one, but I like the red and white one that Homer got, didn't he?
Yeah, Homer's got it.
Homer got that one. So,
He's our brother from
yeah, he's our brother. And the other one, she had a different kind of color. I don't know what color that was, but it was nice. And she was like, loved to sew and cook. And she took care of them, making them covers. I mean, I couldn't do it if I wanted to, because I mean that's hard work on your hands.
You can see the stitches where she did.
I mean, she done it with her hands.
She got it out and just started sewing.
Yes, and I mean she would do it from morning till supper time, till time to cook.
Tell your mom's name.
My mom's name is Zoe Sharpie, and she was born on
1924.
1924 in Link Branch, down mountain. Hazard, Kentucky. And Katie is our kin folks too.
So y'all watched your mom sewing as you were growing up?
Yes. Yeah, we
Quilting
like,
as you were
Yes.
growing
yeah,
up?
we did. We watched her.
Do you remember what she used? What kind
She
of frame that she used?
She had a round one, didn't
She had a round one. It was about this big, and she had it on
clipped it
like
on.
a table thing, and it was just like throwing it, and it was like on a stick. And it was just weird the way she was doing it, but she done it every day.
She did it fast too.
Did it just cover her lap?
Yeah, it covered her lap.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
but like up high enough that your legs could fit under it, and then
Right.
Yeah.
And she would just knit and sew with her
That's
hand
what
real
she done.
fast. She was fast with it too.
Yep. She was good at it.
Yeah. It was amazing.
But I made one, but I sewed mine. So I made a pillow, and I made it for Dakota, and they took and lost it.
Did you make yours on the machine?
On the sewing machine.
Okay.
Yeah, it was red, white, and blue. It was pretty. It was before I had that. So I could sew too.
Did you get that gift and talent from your mom?
Yes. I could do it.
She did too.
Yeah, me and Cleus got the talent.
What are you saying?
That's the helper.
That hurts. That really hurts.
and we got it from Katie too, because Katie is a good
Yes.
Katie,
Generation.
our kin folks
I
too.
want you to share your quilt that
Yes.
you just finished
Yes.
We get it on.
after
got
you
it.
get through eating.
Yeah, she is.
So we fast second time.
That's exactly how it's related to.
Yeah, that's our first cousin, Katie.
Well, I'll get you quit out if you want me to.
Yes.
I'll get it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that all right?
My name is Katie Glover, and this is my first quilt, and I'm really proud of it, really. Although I made errors in it, but it's still my quilt. So the material that is in the quilt, well, Sister Zeta Olinger gave me the material, and then I bought the pink material here. And I appreciate everybody because it is so wonderful to sew again.
Yes.
And I appreciate everybody, and I love everybody, and it's so good to meet everybody.
Now, this isn't your actual first quilt.
no.
Yes. Well, I have made, started, but I've never finished.
Finished, okay.
That's your first. So this is your first
quilt
finish.
that I ever
Finished.
Have you been inspired by this workshop?
Yes.
Has
But
it-
my mother and my grandmother used to sew a lot. And they'd make quilts, and I would sit and watch them. And then I took home ec in school, and that's where I learned to sew also.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad the fire has been lit again. That's pretty blue.
Oh man, I love that blue.
Yeah.
I love that blue.
Yes, thank you. So I'm starting on another quilt, so maybe this one will be better than this one.
Our first ones are always, we see our mistakes the most in our first ones.
It looks good.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
enjoy it. I
Pretty.
enjoy it. And it passes the time away from me.
Yes.
It's good.
Keep in mind.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.